My name is Christy, and this is Angel Talk, where the Archangels are real, relevant, and accessible to everyone. I'm so glad you're here. Let's talk. Hello, thank you for being here for another episode of Angel Talk. I'm Christy Michelle Riggs, and welcome. If you're here for the first time, I'm so glad that you found me. And we have lots of fun stuff to talk about, lots of guidance from the angels, and just lots of things about spiritual awakening, about this transformation process that we talk about, and ways that we can navigate that for our highest and greatest good, and in an energy of love and compassion and love for ourselves. And so I'm so glad that you're here to join in that. If you have been hanging out with me for the last couple of months while we've been doing this, I appreciate so very much that you're back with me again, for your continued support. It means just more than you'll ever know to me. So we are here today to talk about the month of September. Now, I have felt for quite some time now that once we got out of Leo season, energetically, it when I would think forward to it, it would feel like this drop off is the only way that I can describe it. That, all this intensity and all this fire and all this fast moving energy and all of, these portals and gateways and just intense energy coming in from the cosmos and what's going on with the planetary bodies and just everything working together to amplify, putting fuel to the fire on this fire energy. And so when I would think forward to September and, started to ask to be intuitively guided to what that was going to be like and what the month of September and what the next, season would bring. And it felt like this drop off. I don't know how else to explain that. And all I knew was that whatever it was going to be, that it was going to be vastly different than what we have been experiencing for the last 3 or 4, even going into, I would say now 5 months. But definitely for the last 3 months, and in particular for about the last 6 weeks. So we are officially in Virgo season now. And the sign of Virgo is very, very different than the sign of Leo. And so, obviously I knew that there was going to be a difference moving from one energy to another. But until I brought this reading and this message through and really dug into unpacking what the angels were sharing with me and what the guidance and the direction and the understanding, the awareness that I was being given, until I really sat with that and unpacked it, I didn't know just how different that it can turn out to be. Obviously there's always free will choice involved in that. We choose in any moment, how we're going to handle ourselves and how we're going to respond to things and where we're going to place our focus and our consciousness. And it's going to look a little bit different for each of us. But like we've talked before, how things manifest, for us individually, is going to look a little bit different, and how these energies trigger us, what that brings up in us to navigate and to work with is going to look a little bit different for each of us. But the energy responsible for doing that, the energy that's coming in and the themes that those energies present, that's going to be what is consistent and what is the same. And so we have talked before, it's important to understand that even though someone else may be having a very different response to something than we are, if we can look deeper and have compassion that we're all expanding, we're all in unknown territory. None of us have, a playbook, because we're creating new. And so how that is affecting the people around us, how that is affecting, people in our communities, nationwide, worldwide, it's all going to look a little bit different. And if we can just have a little bit of compassion and understanding and keep in mind that no matter where we are on this journey, we are all expanding. And expansion is oftentimes an uncomfortable process. What happens as you get further along in your self-mastery and you have been on this path for a little while, you just learn to get comfortable with the uncomfortableness of it. And you have more tools in your toolbox to be able to pick and choose from to help you to navigate that, so you feel, a little better equipped for it. So, the message that the angels have for us, for what they would like for us to focus on, what the themes are, and what's going to be for our highest and greatest good for the month of September, is a really, really beautiful, beautiful message. It's a really powerful message, and I know I probably say that every time we talk here, but this one in particular, I will tell you, Archangel Michael and I have had many conversations about what we're going to talk about today, starting about 5 or 6 years ago. And that was all preparing me for the completion of all of that information and understanding, preparing me to be able to integrate it in my own life, and understand what it would mean for me to be able to share it with you guys and offer it to you. Now, I will say that it may not be a message that is, for everybody, and that is okay. Anytime that you're feeling some sort of resistance or restriction, what I would recommend is that if anything challenges, things that you're having difficulty because it sometimes is difficult to let go of beliefs. It sometimes is difficult to let go of what we find to feel safe. That's where that comes from when we're presented with new information that contradicts, what we've always believed and how we've always done things, which this happens a lot of times early on in our spiritual awakening. And, we're blown wide open, and it's like, oh my God, what can I depend? No, I'm not, I can't not, I can't not believe that, because if I don't believe, then that means my whole life up until now has been wrong. And that, that is not true on a higher level. But it is certainly how we feel in the moment when that happens. And that is certainly our reality and what we are wrestling with. And so it sometimes can be very very challenging to let go of a strongly held belief or strongly held idea about things or strongly held stance on things, and open up to something new. You know, we don't tend to like to change our minds once they've been made up. And I understand that very much, better than anybody. I do. So if what I would recommend is that if you find that this, you know, is flying in the face of everything that you have already, you know, decided, please, you know, if you want, continue to listen and just take it in. You know, nobody is, I'm certainly not trying to convince you of anything. I'm not trying to sell you on anything. I'm simply sharing something with you that has been shared with me that will help you at some point in your journey in one way or another. And just like, you know, I shared that these were seeds that were planted 5 or 6 years ago, that are just now within this last week, you know, come to a much fuller form and fuller, much more full growth. And so you never know when something is a seed that's being planted that you may not even know that it had been planted, and then, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 years later, other things, you know, come together for you, and some things have shifted within you. Then you're like, oh, that's why that's why I heard that message that day. That's why that you know, itched at me. That's what I call it when I can't get rid of a little thought in my head that seems like it you know, shouldn't be much of anything to itch at you, but nevertheless it's there. And so you'll realize why that message was put in your path, and why you listened to it, and why you sat there and listened to it even though you didn't agree with any of it at the time. So I've learned for myself that, you know, unless it's just something that is just absolutely not at all resonating with me, then I've learned to just listen to it. I mean, you know, and just take from it what does feel right at the time. Take from it what it triggers in me. Take from it, you know, anything useful, and then just leave the rest. You know, and to remember that nobody can change your mind for you. Nobody can change how you feel for you. That's an inside job. So if you can, you know, listen to something, and whenever a judgment or a resistance arises, you just let it arise, and then just let it go. So that's what I invite you to do with this today. If you find that, like I said, that it is flying in the face of a very firm stance that you had already. So now that I've given my little disclaimer there, we will hop right in to what the angels have for us and what we need to talk about for the month of September. So we are moving, or we have moved already, out of Leo season and into Virgo season. Now, these are very, very, like I said, very different energies. Leo is very fiery, very fast moving, very I don't want to say impulsive. I mean, in its shadow expression, it can be impulsive, but very in the moment. But it moves very, very, very quickly. It's there's a reason it's represented by the sun and by the lion. It's big, it's bold, it's fast, it's hot, it's passionate. It's it will, it's the kind of energy that has the power to burn down structures. And the vision that I was given during Leo season, and particularly through the Lionsgate portal and that kind of thing, was the visualization of a wildfire, and how a wildfire catches, and how quickly that once it gets momentum and it catches, that it will just flatten an entire forest of trees and plant life that has been there for hundreds and hundreds of years, and just it's gone. And so that's been very much what we've seen play out in our nation and in the world. Now, we're also seeing that play out. We have seen that play out in our personal lives, right? So, how that has manifested for quite a few of us, particularly, is my understanding, and what was shown to me, is that particularly surrounding relationships, and even more specific than that, particularly, surrounding the twin flame relationship and divine union. Now, if you are just new to spiritual awakening, and you have either not met your person, or you are not at the stage in your awakening and your transformation where you feel like that this applies to you, that's certainly okay. Please keep listening anyway, because it always will, apply in some way or another. And the angels have actually shown me, to help be that bridge between the 3D and the 5D, people that are, just waking up through this very fiery energy of the summer, and are just now like, whoa, what's this all about? And like, now here I am. What do I do? Where do I go? What's next? And then, those of us that have been doing this for a minute, and we were kind of the front runners of this thing, partly for the purpose of, so that those who came behind us in the second and third and later waves, that it would not be as difficult, that it would, that there would be support there, and that it wouldn't be just, fumbling for a light switch in the dark, that there would be help and guidance, set up and in place by people that could say, I have been there. I have just come from where you are now, and I can help you. I can't do it for you, but I can share with you my experience, and then tell you what I learned from that, what wisdom I extracted from that, and then maybe save you from having to go through some of those more challenging things yourself, because you can extract the wisdom from what we're sharing, and that there would be a support system in place for the later waves. And so that's very much what I understand my part of my mission to be, is part of that support system. So what has been given to me is kind of two different ways that this is going to apply. Okay. So then we've just been through this whole fiery very, very fiery, because we've had so many of the other planetary bodies in fire signs and in fixed energy. It has brought a lot of destruction to, it has burned down the constructs of our relationships, particularly, like I said, the twin flame and the divine union, those kind of things. Now, this could be affecting relationships, like if you are just starting out, for instance, or if you were, earlier on in your spiritual journey, what you will find is that as you start to awaken and ascend and become more aware, where this will affect you is typically friends and family, the loss of the support of friends and family as those people are no longer a vibrational match, and as you are holding a mirror up to them, just by opening yourself to the awakening process and being willing to open and to change and to transform, and being a willing participant in it, it holds up a mirror to the people around you, and at that point then the choice is on them. And when people get scared, that's what it boils down to, right? Is fear. When people get scared, what they will typically want to do is take a stance of, I'm right and you're wrong. And then it becomes like we can't coexist in the same place anymore. So if you are experiencing what we're going to talk about, through your friends and your family and, those kind of things, then this very much applies to those relationships as well. It has been incredibly difficult these past 3 months in particular in my life, and as I've started connecting via other podcast hosts, other YouTube channels, other people that are also trying to be part of that support system, as I've had the pleasure and opportunity to start connecting with my tribe in that way. It's been my understanding that I have learned that it has been very, very challenging for all of us. And what I didn't realize, because I do, I've spent so much time in solitude, is that there are many others on the twin flame journey that have this summer experienced the loss of that partner in one way or another, and for one reason or another, and trying to navigate that. Because what happens is, before your awakening, right, you have all of these coping mechanisms that help you to suppress and it's not healthy. It's terribly unhealthy, a terribly toxic way to go about it. But you don't know any different, and so that's the only thing that to relieve yourself of the pain is either to jump into another relationship, to take the stance of being a victim. None of it was my fault, it's the other person's fault, and shame on them for doing that to me. Or we take all the blame upon ourselves and then live in a place of shame of like, I'm so unlovable, I can't, and sometimes we drown it in alcohol and drugs and sex and gambling and food and shopping and any other list of things that you can certainly become addicted to, or certainly use to soothe that hurt, because that's what we're all doing, you know. That's what we're all trying to do. The drunk at the bar and the 400-pound man that's eating his fourth Big Mac that day, and you know, the stereotypical, you know, playboy guy that has, or girl, playboy guy or girl that has, you know, just jumps from one partner to another and does what I call bed hopping. Well, those three people at face value may look very different, like they have a very different thing going on, but it's all the same. It's all the same thing. They are all seeking relief from this feeling of void and of this emptiness within. They're seeking relief from that pain. And so when we come through this, you know, we approach this spiritual awakening, and we're you know, nobody says to us, now, you know, here in a few weeks, get ready, because you're gonna wake up. It doesn't happen quite. I just had a vision of my son, who is now almost 22, and how gentle I always was. I was gentle with my girls too, but it was funnier with him, because here he is. He's massive. He's this great, big, tall, muscular. He's just a beast. He's just massive. And has been always. And, you know, I would go in and have to just be so much softer and so much, you know, more like taking it in stages. Like I would have to go in 2 or 3 different times and wake him up a little bit more each time for school, or if we had to go somewhere that morning. And nobody does that. You know, that's not how the spiritual awakening process happens. Nobody comes in with, you know, a warm cup of cocoa and some toast and says, now, honey, you're in about 15 minutes. we gotta get moving, because we're gonna have to wake up. Nobody does that, right? Because in an adult way, we would do exactly what Taylor, my son, used to do. We would put our cover up over our head and say, I'm going back to sleep. So that's why we kind of, you know, get it dropped on us with 2 feet, so to speak. You know, in such a way that there's no way to run from it. We may try to for a little bit, but it was particularly how it happened, you know, for me. My situation was, I had reached a point where I was like, I want, please, somebody wake me up, please, because I'm like comatose at this point, and I'm going down fast. So my experience may be a little bit different, but still no one prepared me, you know. It came very much as a surprise. And before I knew it, and I've talked to some of the other, you know, like I said, I've been connecting with some of the other spiritual teachers and leaders that we have out there right now, some of my peers, and it has happened a lot the same way for them, that you know, it's like one day you're going about your business, and I told somebody, it's like one day I was just like going about my business, and the next day there's this person that is triggering everything in me to do what I've always done, which is run, suppress, deny, shut down. And for some daggone reason, I can't do that with this person. I am, you know, the biblical verse where it talks about marriage, and he says, you know, naked and not afraid. There I stood, naked, stripped bare, vulnerable, heart, you know, wide open, and I try as I might, I couldn't hide it. I couldn't get it tucked back in and locked back up. And so, here you are, like stripped bare and vulnerable. And you realize that this other person has keys to places in your heart that you don't even know where the key is for. You can't even get those places unlocked. But they can. And so it's, and then there's just so much more to it than that even. And that process is meant so that you see yourself, you learn to love yourself, and you see yourself, you find love for yourself, and you find compassion for yourself and understanding for yourself through the love and compassion and unconditional way that you feel toward your twin flame. And it's a very interesting process. It's a very beautiful process. It is certainly not a glamorous process, I will tell you that. Not every relationship is a twin flame relationship. I just want to put that out there, because it has become kind of a catchphrase, kind of like the thing. And is it beautiful and wonderful and spectacular? Yes. Is it messy and challenging and will absolutely tear down every construct or idea that you have about yourself? Yes. And that's not always pretty or cute. That doesn't always happen in a pretty or cute way, It's so that we take the masks off. It's so that we, stop deluding ourselves. It's so that, the lies that we've told ourselves get brought up and seen for what they are, and we come face to face with ourselves through coming face to face with our twin. And so many of us have, for one reason or another, been in separation for this last little bit. And the times have been varying, but the 3-4 other women that I have talked to, it's been about, right about the same time frame for all of us. And why that is significant and why that is happening, why that has happened at this time, is a little bit about, it's a lot of what we're going to talk about today. So Virgo is a very different energy. It's an earth energy. It's mutable. It's very organized. It's very logical. It's very not so risk-taking, not so big and bold as Leo. Not at all. It's our idea of the virgin, the demure, more introverted, more introspective, more just steady, deliberate, orderly, kind of energy. Very dependable. It's the kind of things you build solid foundations on. That's what I was shown. So if you burn something down, right, and you get down, you've had all this fire that's burned everything down, and you get down to where you're left with what? Very rich soil. That's how forests replenish themselves, is through, the fire, and it burns it all down. And then you have some of the richest earth there for new to grow back, even more lush, more expansive, more hardy than ever before. And so that is what is happening with our relationships. The other thing that I was shown as to why we needed to have this time of solitude, why that it had to be burned down. Like I didn't understand that. If it's a twin flame relationship, like if it's, what was the point? Why burn it down then, And through these last 3 or 4 months, and it has taken a lot of seeking and a lot of time by myself and a lot of going within and a lot of deliberately not suppressing. A lot of navigating through energies that felt scary at times to try to navigate. And the answer that I have come to understand is because what we move from is this construct and these ideas that we have about ourselves, and then we meet our twin flame and we, all of that's broken down, and then now we have this idea and this construct of what the twin flame relationship is supposed to be, but it's still, our ideas and our thinking about it is still very much based in the 3D, because that's what is being triggered and brought up, to be worked through and to be transformed and to be the wisdom to be extracted from that, for us to understand ourselves better so that we can understand another better, understand another better so that we can understand ourselves better, if it works both ways. And so if it's still, what was shown to me is that if it is still, if it is a construct that arose from the 3D, and so many hurts were still being carried in our cellular body and our energy field. We were able to release the hurts from our past, right? Our twin has helped us to do that. But then what we've done along the way is we've now got, all of this stuff that we had kind of been telling ourselves that we didn't have, that's hanging out in the energy body of, as we're moving up in consciousness, and we can't take that with us as we go. We can't. All of it has to be released, all of it. And so what I was shown is that we, as twin flames, through our journey and through the heavy lifting that we've done and through all of this light that we're trying to anchor and all of these things that we're triggering each other so that they can be healed and released, from our childhood, from our past, that what had happened, like what that had done was create like a feedback loop. How I was shown, and it made so much sense. How I was shown is when the heart, like how the heart starts to beat out of rhythm. And I've shared with you all before that I have a background in healthcare, and even if you don't have a background in healthcare, you've seen it like on TV or on medical shows or on any kind of dramatic show, primetime show that depicts a hospital setting. And you've seen them, somebody come in and they put all these monitors and all these wires and hook them up, and they look at how the heart is beating, and if it's not beating like, our steady rhythm and in that steady way that we know it needs to beat for us to stay alive and for blood to perfuse to the rest of our body. Particularly if it's doing that, like if it is not in that rhythm and it is in what they call a lethal rhythm, which is a rhythm that if something is not done about that soon, if something is not done about that immediately, this patient will die. We won't be able to revive. And so what they have to do is use a defibrillator. Now, a lot of people don't understand. I did not understand until I went to nursing school and learned about this, and it was quite a shock to me that what a defibrillator is actually doing, it's not prompting the heart or causing the heart to correct itself. It's not like inserting electrical impulses that then take over and make the heart beat correctly. It's stopping the heart. That's what a defibrillator does. It stops the heart. Knowing that the electrical conduction system of the heart is so powerful and so strong that 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10, if it's just like stopped and gotten out of that feedback loop, that vicious downward spiral of this lethal rhythm, that it will kind of be like, oh, and then pick back up and beat like it was meant to beat, like it's supposed to beat. And then it'll keep right on trucking. And so what has happened to the twin flame relationship for a great many of us is that we had gotten in this downward spiral, this feedback loop of triggering. And then now, like, all the stuff from the past has been brought up, all of our childhood stuff, all of our inner child stuff, it's been brought up, and yet we can't get out of this lethal rhythm of triggering. And we're going down quick. And we can't even figure out why we're doing it. Like, we just, and it made perfect sense to me when I was given that analogy. And so what the universe has kind of stepped in and done is kind of apply a defibrillator to the twin flame relationship and burn all of that down that is no longer useful, because we've healed that stuff. And it's given us time to go within and to reevaluate. Because there, a lot of us, that, like I said, the people that I have talked to that have shared the same experience or very similar experience, have all said, had gotten in this triggering feedback loop of your fault, my fault, your fault. No, it's your fault. You do this. And then it had just gotten to the point where I don't even want this anymore. And so you start to forget, you start to delude yourself and cause an illusion within yourself to tell yourself that the relationship is not what you thought that it was. And that what it's really meant to do is be like the ultimate test of all of the lessons that you learned in the past from all the people that you had allowed to hurt you because of all the ways that you'd been hurt as a child. Now this was your ultimate moment to like rise above that and be able to walk away from this person that you thought was your one true love, but really what it was about was teaching you that that, like, this is some kind of like ultimate test of your spiritual awakening and of your growth. And we started to cause ourselves to believe that in an effort to, again, same reason the drunk's at the bar, same reason the 400-pound guy's eating a Big Mac, same reason the guy or girl is bed hopping, is to find relief from the pain of the reality of what was happening. And so as all of this fire energy has been a wildfire and has burned all of these things down, then we move into this season of Virgo. And it's like, what now? It's all burned down. What now? I'm kind of at a loss. I don't know what to do or where to go. Or I shared that with somebody about 6 weeks ago. I was like, it's like I have all this awareness and I have all this perspective and I have all of this understanding. But it's like, what do I do with all that now? Because what I realized is that the one thing that had helped me to gain all of that awareness and that perspective, and the very reason that I had all that awareness and that perspective and that understanding and that growth and that was gone, and it wasn't there to share in it with me anymore. And it wasn't an energy of like, oh, I'm so lonely and so I need them to come back to fill that void of loneliness, even though I, was at times lonely, have been at times very, lonely. It was coming from a place of it's just not, it's not much fun without you here. It's not like all of these good things are happening that I'm so grateful for, and you're not here to share in it with me because you were part of creating it. You're the other half of creating it. And that's anything from this podcast to writing books to things that are just going on otherwise. Every good thing that happens, I look around and I'm like, I want to share this joy with the person that brings me the most joy. And what do I do with all of that? And so what I've been shown leads me into the card reading, and leads me into kind of what kind of an energy we can expect to come from the month of September. So we're working with the two card decks. I pulled the focus for the month from the Wisdom of the Archangels card deck. And then that's Archangel Raphael has given us the message of our focus. And Archangel Metatron came through and wanted to bring the supporting messages, the four things that we can understand or focus on that's going to help support the main focus for the month. And I can tell you firsthand, I've worked with Raphael and Metatron together for quite some time now. And it's a really interesting combination because you've got Archangel Raphael, who's all about the heart and all about feelings and all about what they call the heart mind, getting into a heart heart-centered space, leading from your heart, opening your heart, taking down the walls you've put around your heart, tuning into your heart. And then you've got Archangel Metatron, who is the archangel that helps us to understand the higher mind. Now, I'm not talking about the ego mind. He will help you not, I don't want to use the word overcome, but Archangel Metatron will help you to reassign your ego to its original intended place. Because we're not trying to tell the ego it's bad or to get lost. We need it to keep us aware of danger, to keep us alive. But it's kind of like we've just assigned it a job that it was not qualified to do. It was not prepared to do that job. And somewhere along the way, nobody told it that, and before you knew it, everybody just thought that, that was the boss man in charge, when really it was more like letting a 2-year-old drive heavy machinery. It's like we don't hate the 2-year-old, but bless its heart, it doesn't have any business driving heavy machinery. And you can see how things can get destroyed if you let a 2-year-old drive heavy machinery. So what Archangel Metatron will help you do is to just put the ego back where it was meant to go. Give it the job that it was created to do, and it will do that job very well. And then we allow, it's more of an allowing, the heart to really be what guides us. And I'm going to be doing another, just to let you know, I'm going to be doing another episode here within the next week, talking more about that, about the heart mind. I've been really digging into the Heart Math Institute, and I think that I mentioned that to you guys maybe the last, when we were talking about the grounding. They're doing a free instructional series right now with videos and resources, and it's phenomenal. I'm not all the way through it yet, but they're doing it free right now because of the times that we're in, and because people need this understanding. And it's something that they normally charge quite a bit for. And it's available for free. I'll put a link to it in the description box, and you guys go sign up for that for free. And it's a series of videos, and there is just groundbreaking information about how much information that the heart transmits to the brain, how much more information that the heart communicates to the brain than the brain does back to the heart. The heart is really running the show, whether we realize it or not, And when we become aware of that and settle into that and come down out of this head space and down into this heart space, it's our awareness and our perception and the way that we go about things is very, very different, and it has incredible implications. So I want to invite you guys to check that out. And like I said, I'll put the link down there in the description box, because it will really help you as we navigate through these messages as well. So I think it's a really neat pairing whenever Metatron and Raphael work together, because they work together so beautifully. And it's all about opening the heart, taking what has come in, taking your understanding from, this higher mind stuff, this fire energy stuff, all these light codes have come in, all this information, all these activations, all of this stuff has come in, right? And then it's like, well, what are you going to do with that? It doesn't do you a whole lot of good to just have a bunch of information. Like, what difference does that make? So that's why when we take it in through the crown chakra, we have to visualize it and actively choose to bring it down into the heart and even further down on in until we integrate it in such a way that we've anchored it. We've grounded that energy. And so moving from Leo season into Virgo season is part of the grounding, because now we're in this earth energy, this earth sign. But we've got this really rich place where we can grow anything, where we can build firm foundations, because when we take those activations in, we take that time and that understanding. We had to do it, how I was shown is that we had to do it by ourselves so that we would actually take it in, we would actually receive it, and it would come in, and we wouldn't just be focused on this triggering so much so that we missed it. That it just like flew right over us or flew right past us. And so it put us in a position where we couldn't really, it forced like this surrender to like, I don't know what to do with this. So I'm just going to go moment to moment and try to breathe. It took us back to the basics. And for me, when that was the place I found myself in, that's where I found my love for my twin rekindled. And I can remember many nights standing at the window in the living room. I could look out and I could see the moon from there. And I would talk to him just right out loud and say things like, I took you for granted. I thought that I had, gotten so evolved and so strong and so capable and so healed that I could get through this. It might hurt, but that it would be okay. And and I would just stand there and I would speak out loud, I'm so sorry. And would speak out loud the things that I was sorry for, that I was having this awareness of where I had been lying to myself, where I had, created this illusion that the relationship wasn't, we had both done that, but I could only do that for myself. I was doing that for myself, going within myself to search for answers. And that's what I found. And so it's all of these things that like I thought were so much more important, that I thought there's so much out there right now about empowerment, and it's I tell you what it is that there's a lot of stuff out there right now that I now understand is suppression, denial, and self-delusion, just dressed up wearing a spiritual bow. And it's wearing the terms of like detachment and releasing what no longer serves me, and those kind of things where we're still fueling our ego. We're not in any better place than where we started. We put a different outfit on it, calling it by a different name. Is this idea of detachment? First of all, it's not even possible. And this idea that you don't need somebody, Let me tell you what I found out this summer. I need my husband in my life. And I don't feel one bit less than or lacking to tell you that and to have that awareness. Because am I capable to do on my own? Yes. I've been doing it all summer long. Have had actually quite a bit of success. But to have the what means the most to me, and what is really fulfilling in my life, is to have these things that we've worked so hard for, and to have him here to share in it. It's like we can't see the forest for the trees, so they had to burn the damn forest down, you know? And so here we are. Here we are in the month of September. And Raphael brings us the card that is our focus that says, let yourself receive. Now, the message that I have gotten, what he's saying to us with this is, don't be so quick that if someone comes back around into your life and they present themselves into your life again, and you have taken this stance of never again. No, that is not for me. I'm ridding myself of this, you know. And so many of us have taken that stance at one point or another. And what Raphael shared with me, and again, it made a lot of sense, as the angels always do, is that when you reach this level of consciousness and you have completed the tasks of breaking the cycles that are from your past and from your childhood, then they're broken, right? If a cycle is broken, it's not going to repeat. It's not going to come back around. There's something new to learn, and what we're being asked to understand at this point is how to love one another in the same way that Source loves us. How to radically love one another. How to truly, unconditionally love one another. How to be patient and kind. Not jealous or boastful. Not arrogant or rude. Keeping no record of wrongs. And rejoicing in the truth. How do we really do that and action that out? And so what Raphael has shared with me is that if we are in a place in our journey where these are the kinds of things that, you know, this is PhD kind of level stuff, for lack of a better way to put it. We've broken kindergarten cycles a long time ago. And what's going to happen is that these people are going to, as Venus, because Venus is a big player in this too. Venus is in Cancer right now. Venus rules everything about love, passion, home, family, abundance, anything that we find vitally important to us, anything that is about our heart, where our heart lies. That's Venus. And Venus is in Cancer right now, which is the most feeling sign of zodiac, and that is not an accident. Because it's going to present us with the opportunity, present us with the energy, and make available the energy to where forgiveness and compassion toward one another as people come back into our reality, the forgiveness and the compassion and the awareness that for every bit as much as we've been off by ourselves doing all this understanding and growing and changing and transforming, that other person has too. Now, obviously, we still have free will choice as to what we do with that. Let me just say that. But what Raphael is saying here is, if this person that has meant so much to you in your life, that when you look at them, you see a reflection of yourself, and you might be able to lie to other people, you might be able to play it off. Don't lie to yourself, because let me tell you something, I know firsthand how dangerous that is when you lie to yourself and then you put a spiritual bow on top of it and say that you're doing it in the name of growth and transformation and awakening. Don't do that to yourselves. I'm not saying that in a way that is like, you better not do that, or I'm saying please don't do that, because the pain that you will cause yourself for that, for doing that, is you don't want that. So Raphael is saying, let yourself receive. Let yourself, somebody comes and they're offering you their cup of love. Because we're in the energy of creating something new. Because the way forward is so different than anything that we've ever known. He's calling us to do something different. And to receive instead of push away what's coming back around. See, always before, things would come around in cycles and cycles and cycles, and we would need to eliminate things. And what he's shown me is that as this comes back around, it's to give us things, to offer us things. It's harvest. We're coming into harvest time. Virgo is very much associated with harvest and crops and agriculture, those kind of things. It's a harvest. It's of all of that we've done, all of that hard work, all of that, that when it fell apart, we were left going, what the hell do I do now with all that? What was the point in all that? And Raphael is telling me, this is the point. This is it. Open your heart to receive it. See if all of that 3D based stuff that was causing this feedback loop, see if that's not all been burned down. And see if you don't see all of those core things that you love so much, that are the other half of you, the other part of you that are the mirror to your soul. See if those aren't the things that are left standing in that other person. And that now, because of all that you've been through and all that you've learned, you have so much firm, stable, steady ground to build a new way forward on. And see, a lot of what in the twin flame journey causes so much chaos and seeming dysfunction is we are so terrified of losing this person that everything within us that's ever happened to us from our past is being triggered, and our ego is jumping in and trying every way in the book to play into this and to keep us from trying, seemingly keep us from experiencing our worst fear, which is the loss of that. And so Raphael's like, okay, so you've experienced that. You've gotten that out of your system. That's done. You've done that. You've eaten that elephant. And so he showed me this vision. It's so beautiful. When you come back together, there's just this relief. There's just this love that says, oh. There's this gratitude. And you literally, like I wish that I had a way of showing you the vision that I was shown, because it was so beautiful. Of seeing your beloved through these eyes of, they have fresh eyes of seeing the wonder and the magic and just this childlike wonder, looking at each other with this childlike wonder of like, wow. I sure am blessed. I sure am grateful. And all that other stuff is just not even there anymore because it's been burned down. And that's really, really beautiful. And it's really reflective of how Source loves us unconditionally. That we never have gone too far. That, a lot of people use the word, forgiven, that God forgives us, but it's not even that, because it's like just not even there from Source's perspective. It's like, what, forgive you? That's weird. No, there's nothing that's not even there. Like, there's not even a way to verbalize it, because there's nothing there to forgive. It's gone. It just is. And so we're creating this new way forward. We have the opportunity to create it and to build it, these building blocks. And this is another thing I love about Metatron and Raphael being here to share this message together is, Metatron is the Archangel of sacred geometry and the firm building blocks and building blocks of matter, and using the simplest forms that we know to create the most complex structures, and also the most stable, can bear the most weight and pressure, and they are lasting. They are whole. They are complete. And so we have Archangel Raphael. It's all about the heart, all about the healing of the heart, being in the heart space, tuning into the heart of another, leading with that, bearing our hearts open and saying, there are parts of it in there that you've got the key to. I don't want it back. You just keep it. Instead of being afraid of that and saying, and spending all the time thinking, how in the hell do I get this key back? Because that scares me. That makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't like that. I don't like being that vulnerable. So we've moved from that into a place of, just keep it. Just keep it. I want you to have it. I'm glad you have it. So we've got this choice. We've got the energy that's there to help us. And the supporting cards here, and we've already kind of talked about all of this as we've talked through this, but the first one is of the supporting cards that Archangel Metatron is offering us is the number 13, the number of the Divine Feminine. Air, fly free, is what it says. And, I got choked up. What Metatron is saying with this card is when it's two things. When you fly, when you go higher, we've talked about this before, you get a broader perspective. And so he's saying that if we can shift our perspective just a hair, just a little bit, and we make this opening to receive, because everything affects everything, if we shift just the tiniest bit, then everything is going to shift in response to that. And before you know it, it creates this cascading effect where you've got all this space that's now open, that it's like the light can come in, the love can come in, and then it's like, oh my gosh, oh, I didn't see that before. Oh, I'm so glad that I shifted just that hair, because now it changes everything. The second part to that is how when we take a breath in and it's renewing and it's fresh and there's relief in that renewal and refreshment that we take in, feels good. And we exhale all that old, heavy, dense stuff, just let it go. Inhale, breathe into this new energy and into this freshness and this newness that is life-giving, just like the air that we breathe. The second card, the second message that Metatron has for us is the number 38 card. The 38 in numerology is an 11. 11 is the number of the twin flame. And it's also the number that represents light. And so this is the message that he's giving us is what it's posing a question again. What is the purpose of taking all of this light in and all of this awareness and going through this process if you don't allow it to transform you into something different? Allow the light body to come online. Integrate down into your heart and down in through your sacral chakra and in your root chakra, and ground that down in. Grounding that down into the earth is not going to clip our wings and keep us from expressing all of this light. It is the grounding rod that will allow for it. Allow us to sustain it. Allow it to be magnified and glow and be as bright as you can imagine. And it keeps us in a state of balance because we have this light pillar that connects us to the energy of the great central sun and to source, and we've grounded that down into the heart of Gaia, down through our heart, down through and into the heart of Gaia, into the earth. And we're in perfect balance. We are both connected to the earth and to the cosmos. The third message, the third card, is card number 39, which is, normally we would break that down into a 3, but what Metatron asked me to do, and since numbers are kind of his thing, I listened to him, is to see this as a 12. And the reason he wanted us to see this as a 12, and the significance of that, is we've made our way all the way around. You know, you go around a clock and you get from noon back to, you get from 12 back to 12. If you go around the zodiac, you get around all 12 signs. You complete a year, you go around, it's 12 months. And so we're we've explored every aspect. We've explored and we've transmuted and we've healed through this triggering. All of these different things that needed to be healed. All of these different things that needed to come up for us to understand. Now we've reached that 12 and it's time for healing. It's time for true healing. Heart healing. That will allow us to receive. That will allow us to see from this higher perspective. That will allow us to integrate all of this light and to express ourselves as light and love. Unconditional love. In a way that is radically different than what we've been taught. It's radically different than what we've experienced. It's radically different than what we've ever allowed ourselves or required of ourselves or asked of ourselves to do before. And the final card, and it's just when I got to the end of this, of pulling these cards and flipping them and doing this reading, I was just weeping. Tears of gratitude. And just so many emotions. And the last card here is the number 40. Evolution, birthing the new. And there's a picture of like a little newborn baby. It's almost like depicting like an infant in the womb. And what the umbilical cord, what is coming to be to look like the umbilical cord, is a cord that comes up and it makes the male symbol and then continues to turn and curve and intertwine and make the female symbol, signifying finding a state of balance within ourselves. Balance, acceptance, awareness, love within ourselves. And now this experience that we've had the last several months, however long it's been for you, through this loss, seeming loss, what has felt like a loss, we have cleared that illusion that it, no matter what we do or where we go, that we're connected to our counterpart. We're connected. That love is always connected. And so what the angels, the question that the angels posed to me with this card was, so if you're always connected anyway, right? Why not be connected and birth something new, grow something new, see what happens, see what you can do. Show us what you can do. Show yourselves what you can do. And then as I'm sitting here weeping, Metatron reminded me, you know that Venus moves into Leo a little later in the month, right? And I just got this big smile break out across my face because it made perfect sense to me, We're in this sign of Virgo, and we've got this place, we've got this rich soil, this very grounded energy that we have the opportunity to build something new and lasting. And we're very much in our heart. Venus is in Cancer, and we are feeling. And as these things come back around, if we choose to let them back in, and we choose that that's our path and what we want to do, and then we move through this compassion and this forgiveness and this, the tears and all of this very feeling, and then we get to the fire. we get to this Venus in Leo energy, which is like just this incredibly passionate energy. Just as we head into Libra season. Now I will share with you something that will make why that is significant to me and my journey all the more delicious. Is I've shared with you all that I'm a sun sign, Leo. My Venus sign, my Venus is in Leo, and my twin flame is a Libra. And so it's just, as Metatron is showing me the awareness of all of this, that yes, there is another person involved that still has free will choice, and I understand that, but it reminded me of it just, I had this deep integration of that love hasn't gone anywhere. The physical body may be in another place right now, but that love hasn't gone anywhere. And it never will. And it won't for you either. And your situation and because it can't. It can't. And that's what this summer, that's what we've been through for, however long we've been going through it. That's what it's pointing to, is that even when you tell yourself you're disconnecting from it, and even when you tell yourself that, you've stopped that, you can't. It is constantly expanding. It's like that beach ball that we try to hold under the water, and no matter how big and tough and strong you are, eventually it's going to pop up out from the top of that water. It's going to find a way to sneak under your arm or go around you in some way, and before you know it, and it's broken the water and it's gone. Love is like that. You can't contain it. You can't force your will upon it and hold it tightly under the water. We have a full moon in Pisces, by the way, on the 2nd, so that certainly wasn't lost on me when I started, or when I was shown this imagery of holding this beach ball under this water, because this water is everywhere. It is freely moving, and you can't contain it. You think you can, we might be able to pour it into a glass, or you can't contain water, and it's purifying. So that's what we have for September. I encourage each of you to ask the angels, to ask Source, if this person comes back around in your life. There's a prayer that I used to pray with regularity, and I had gotten out of the habit of praying this prayer, and that I have realized is a big deal. It's like a no wonder. So I'll leave you with this. If when this person comes back around, this energy comes back into your life, and you're hesitant, or you're reluctant, or you're in resistance to opening yourself up to it again, because what it really boils down to is, my God, it scares me to death because I don't want to experience that pain again. That's what was really going on, and we have to understand that first and foremost. But when this comes back around, and you're presented with it, ask the angels, ask Source, say, help me to see this person. Help me to see them the way that you see them. powerful. Powerfully healing, because you get a whole new perspective. Back to what Metatron was saying. Whole new perspective. Brings the light body online. Complete healing of the heart. The ability to birth something new. It all starts with, you have to be open to receive it. You have to let yourself receive it. So that's what the angels have for us, and I am here for encouragement, support. If you want to connect, all the information of how to do that is available to you there in the description box. If you need anything, just have a comment, an experience, something you want to share, a question you have, please. It's now more than ever, we need to support one another and lift one another up. And thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey to do that. I certainly receive a lot of support and encouragement from you guys, and how kind that you've been, and I mean, just the fact that you tune in and listen really, really does so much for me, and I'm grateful for it. I appreciate it very much. So I'm leaving you with lots of love and light, and we will talk again soon. Taken about something. So
I am not an island. I wanna feel the connection.